A very good afternoon, and thanks for clicking on to the Tuesday edition of Vogan's European Outlook for the 22nd of May. Be sure to hit that like button, share with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel. Lots coming up in the days to come. The 2024 summer forecast will be released here live on the channel at 4 p.m. this Sunday. And if you haven't already done so, did you get the chance to see Aidan McGivern's interview that I did back a couple of weeks ago and released here last Saturday? I do encourage you to check that out. It was certainly a very, very interesting chat that myself and Aidan had, learning a little bit about himself, but also taking interest in weather to the next level. He's been with the Met Office now for 17 years and he's done a whole plethora of different things when it comes to his career. So do check that out. There is a link in the description below today's video for the interview with Aidan if you haven't already checked it out. But certainly we do have some very, very interesting times at the moment here. It looks as if the Piedmont area of Italy has seen its wettest spring. So that is March through May in 70 years. Now, what really stands out a little bit about this fact here? So this is a tweet here by Thierry Goose, based in Vancouver, Canada, saying that there are 10 days left until the end of spring 2024, and the rainfall that fell in the Piedmont area of Italy, March through May, averages generally 550 millimeters, but already has broken a record that was set way back 70 years ago. What's significant about this is that back last May, now remember I said in yesterday's video the similarity to the pattern that we have at the moment, blocking to the north, low pressure trapped underneath to the south. We're seeing a lot of very, very active weather at the moment across a large swathe of Central and Southern Europe. Back last May, this very region of the continent recorded its wettest May in 70 years, and now it's recording its wettest overall spring in 70 years in South Central Europe. And I thought this was quite interesting because this all leads into the ideas for the summer season. Remember I showed you the soil moisture map a few days ago, Central and Western Europe primarily looking fairly decent as we step into the warm season, and obviously when you increase the evaporation rate as well. So it looks as if, remember, like just a couple of years ago, we were talking about severe drought, the concerns that we had for a very parched Europe. My point being is that we're looking fairly healthy when it comes to moisture levels across at least Western and Central Europe. Now, with the exceptions being across Eastern Iberia, where we've got a severe drought, really from Murcia all the way up to Catalonia. We've got a very serious drought situation ongoing there. We've also got a serious drought situation down in the Canary Islands, water emergency in Tenerife, and possibly in adjacent neighbouring islands within the Canary Island chain. I would imagine, I don't know for sure, but there is areas that aren't looking particularly great, especially down in the Balkan region. Northern Scandinavia, interestingly enough, is also looking rather parched as we step into the month of June and meteorological summer. But this was the scenes in the Friesland area of the Netherlands back on the 21st of May. So this is just kind of taking a little bit of a tour around Europe at the severe weather that we've seen. Low pressure dominating, generating severe thunderstorms, flooding, major hail, damaging winds, even some tornadoes as well. And certainly this is causing quite a significant impact across a large swathe of the continent. This is the seen in one particular location within Poland. So very, very large hail accumulation, as you can see here, along with flooding rains. So very, very nasty situation here, and it is very, very similar to what we seen back around this time last year. This was the scene in a part of Germany. Again, flooding, severe thunderstorms, major downpours, in a very, very short space of time. And finally, this was a part of France. Notice here I'm not mentioning any names because I'm really, really bad at pronouncing names, whether it be people's names or place names. So I try my best to avoid it. But this was the scene back on the 17th of May in one particular location within France. And it has been a very, very wet, past winter and spring in this region of the continent. Now, obviously, we have got our own situation to deal with. We actually have a widespread yellow warning for rain up and down much of the length of the land, but also we have got an amber warning encompassing North Wales and northwestern England. We'll look at that in just a second. This is the current visible satellite imagery at the time of recording. You can see the massive cloud. The centre of the low is to the east over the North Sea, but it's got a lot of moisture associated with it. This has originated over Central Europe, drifted across out of Germany, and I think I could be mistaken, but this is the very feature that delivered the severe weather, whether it be the hail accumulations, the flooding over parts of Europe. This is now the very system that is now moving across the North Sea and generating a lot of heavy persistent rainfall. This is the current radar image of the same website, Weather Online, and you can see the heavy swathe of rain. See these yellows representing heavy persistent rainfall in a kind of banding feature. The center of the low is to the east, but you can see the kind of hook of heavy precipitation, this canopy of moisture, quite a widespread area of heavy persistent rain. Now also I want to point out some of these reddy colors representing enhanced convective activity, generating even heavier pulses of rain within the wider canopy of precipitation. So very, very heavy thundery rains associated with this. We are expecting that across parts of the West Highlands, but also across the far south of England. We could see some heavy thunderstorms. Now, underneath that canopy of heavy rainfall, temperatures are no red shakes for the time of the year, as can be seen here, only 12s and 13s. We had a 22.8 Celsius at Altnahara yesterday afternoon. What's significant about that 22.8 is the fact that the low yesterday morning at Altnahara was minus 0.6 Celsius. So a rise from minus 0.6 to 22.8. That is probably right up there with the largest 12-hour diurnal fluctuation in temperature seen this year in the UK. We've not really seen an awful lot of that because we've had quite mild nights, and therefore we don't see the big swings that you typically would see late winter and during the springtime when you've got a nice clear area of high pressure bang slap over the UK with light winds, clear skies. You get the cold by night and the warm by afternoon. That has not really been the case this year so far. Moving on, this is the situation with regards to, let me get to the right chart here because I want to show you the warnings that are issued by the Met Office here. So this is an interesting radar image here captured by the Met Office. This is a tweet here issued a few hours ago. A band of heavy thundery showers has been moving across parts of southwest England in the past few hours. This has brought locally heavy downpours and difficult driving conditions. And if you look at this radar image, the graphic basically shows you the heavy thundery showers in the southwest in particular. Plenty of lightning associated with that. You can see the flashes of lightning shown on the graphic here to the east of Plymouth, to the west of Poole in recent hours. Now, let's have another quick look and see at rainfall totals seen by the Met Office. So this is directly from the Met Office, and you can see between 12 o'clock Wednesday and 12 o'clock Thursday, this is what we expect to see. The heaviest of rainfall in southwestern parts of the country, northwest England, the Isle of Man looks as if it's going to see some very significant amounts, and also in some parts of western Scotland due to thunderstorms as opposed to that band of rain. So you've got the main band itself to the east, but Further west, you've got the instability and you've got the convective development over the far west of Scotland and the West Highlands. This is where we actually could see some of the bigger totals in the form of thunderstorms as opposed to the main band of rain itself. But North Wales, Northwest England, we could see in excess of 100 millimetres of rain, especially over high ground of North Wales, the Snowdonia area, for example. So this is the graphic here. The warning areas issued by the Met Office. We'll start off with Northern Ireland, Eastern Northern Ireland and Northwest Scotland. 1700 Wednesday until 10 a.m. on Thursday. That's a yellow warning. Moving on to mainland Scotland, away from the northwest until 1800. We've got the yellow warning. Further down, Wales and Northern England and the Midlands, parts of southeast England and East Anglia. The warning is in effect until 12 noon tomorrow. So there's that far south, stretching from kind of Plymouth right the way across to the southeast corner of the country here. We've got a thunderstorm warning issued by the Met Office, a yellow warning at that, and that is valid until 1900 Wednesday. The reason why is once you start to lose the dynamics, you start to weaken the thunderstorm activity as you move into this evening. So we're going to lower that risk of thunderstorm activity across the far south of the UK by the time we reach around 1900 on Wednesday. Finally, looking at the amber warning. So this encompasses North Wales and parts of northwest England, including the greater Manchester and Liverpool areas. This is an amber warning valid until 12 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, where in excess of 70 to 100, possibly even in excess of 100 millimetres of rain may fall between now and midday tomorrow, hence why they've got an amber warning. So let's have a look and see what the arpegge model is looking. So we'll normally look at the GFS, we normally look at the ECMWF as well. Let's have a look at the French arpegge model and see what it is indicating for the rest of today and into tomorrow. So you can see that area of low pressure gradually deepening, possibly just below 1,000 millibars, as you can see here. There's the heavy rainfall, so we're expecting to see, especially the north upslopes of North Wales, northwestern England, Lancashire. We could see some very, very significant rain totals here. Some of the orographic influence involved in that as well. Thunderstorm activity across southwestern England. We've got the heavy, persistent rain, probably 25 to as much as 50 millimetres of rain falling across a fairly broad area as well, by the way. And then as we continue to play through, you can see the heavy rainfall then kind of lifting northwards up into North England, southern, central and eastern Scotland. That is where we could see widely in excess of 25, 35, even locally 50 millimetres of rain falling in some areas through the course of tomorrow. So this is by the time we reach 10 o'clock this evening UTC. Heaviest precipitation now shifting out of the bulk of England and Wales, then focusing into north of England, southern, central, and even northern Scotland. And I made mention in yesterday's video about that northeasterly flow, where you've got the upslopes of the Murray coast, for example, between anywhere from Lossiemouth, Elgin, across to the Inverness area. As that flow is coming up the Murray Firth, you could see some very significant rain totals. Also, parts of Easter Ross, Caithness and Sutherland, we could see some fairly big rain totals through the next 12 to 24 hours or so. Eventually this system then starts to fill. We see the pressure coming up, we start to lose the intensity of the rain, and then we're keeping our eyes closely fixed on that area of high pressure that is a relatively weak one, but nonetheless what it's doing is it's squeezing out the moisture associated with this area of low pressure as we progress through the course of Friday. You can see almost sucking the moisture out of the system. The pressure is rising now to about 1,015 millibars, and you can see that we're left in a much better picture. Sunnier, brighter, calmer, and warmer as a result of that during the course of Sunday. The question mark is we have got a little feature seen by the model trying to move into East Anglia as we move in through the course of later Saturday and into Sunday. We've got a system here kind of waiting in the wings to the west of the UK and Ireland here that may generate a more unsettled second half to Saturday and into Sunday. So we'll just have to keep our eyes closely fixed on that. Finally, looking at the total precipitation, let's have a look at the UK specifically, and we can have a look at some of these rainfall totals. So by the time we reach midnight tonight, we've got the heaviest rainfall, North Wales, Northwest England. We've got not so much in the way of rain seen by this model, at least anyway, down towards London and East Anglia. But as you move up towards the Birmingham area, you're generally between 10 and 20 millimetres of rain. Then we're doubling that as we move into the higher ground to the north of Manchester here, up into the Lake District. We can see some fairly significant totals by the time we reach the end of today. Then as we press through the course of Thursday, you're seeing some big totals here to the east of Inverness, northwest England, southern Scotland, and also a couple of little areas here in the Northwest Highlands and the far north of Sutherland. You can see here some bigger totals here seen by the reds, but we are going to see locally heavier rain than even what this model is indicating. I want to show you here the what the wind gust potential is looking like here, because there's not a great deal of mention about wind, but there will be a stiff onshore breeze. So there's the centre of the low here to the east of, what would that be, Yorkshire. On the northern flank of this circulation, you've got some fairly brisk winds, nothing major to write home about, but nonetheless, it will just worsen the already miserable conditions that is being experienced along the coast, really anywhere from North Lincolnshire up towards Tyneside into the Borders region as well. You've also got some fairly gusty winds along the west coast here through the North Channel into the Irish Sea. You've got some fairly brisk winds from the north on as the winds circulate around the centre of low pressure. So you've got winds coming in, onshore winds on the east coast, but you've actually got some fairly stiff northerly winds, especially with a frontal boundary to the west of the UK and Ireland. That's generating a stronger north wind here. So we may see some fairly brisk winds associated with this, as well as the heavy rainfall. Finally, looking at the convective overview here, and I want to actually pan back out to Europe, because it really does kind of just show you how unsettled the continent really is. If we look at the Cape values indicates the level of instability within the atmosphere, and we can see here, so this is basically the convective potential within the atmosphere, and if we play through, you can see here widespread areas of convection blown up across much of Central Europe, but specifically across just to the south of the Alps, over Italy, into the Balkan region, over western Turkey. We've also got a swathe of intense convection here coming out of Czech Republic, Slovakia, southern and central Poland, into the northeast of Germany as well. We've got some very lively showers and thunderstorms blowing up. Remember that the convection kind of eases off as you progress into the overnight period. We'll lose the dynamics. Then as the daytime heating kicks back in during the course of tomorrow, you see the map liven up and the production of showers becomes quite widespread. But we've got low pressure dominating central and southern Europe, strong area of higher pressure across the north, and this is essentially what is causing this very unsettled pattern at the moment across much of Europe. Northern Europe, not so much with high pressure dominating. Finally, let's have a look and see what the CFS V2 is indicating for the next couple of weeks. So this is the upcoming 7 days. There's the strong area of high pressure, very similar to May of 2023, by the way, with low pressure trapped underneath this block across Scandinavia, extending across towards Greenland here. This is the precipitation forecast seen by the model here, and you've got wet and average across much of England, Wales, and eastern Scotland, drier across the Outer Hebrides and Northwest Highlands. There's that swathe of heavy precipitation across a broad area of the continent moving into week 2. So this is us stepping out of meteorological spring and into meteorological summer. You're seeing a still wetter than average signal across Central and Western Europe here, across Central and Southern England, drier than average across the north and also the west, over Ireland, Northern Ireland as well. And the reason why is because we've got the high kind of exerting more influence on the UK and Ireland pattern. Now, interesting enough, as we move towards the period 5th through the 12th of June, we've still got high pressure to the north and northeast, but keeping our eyes closely fixed on an area of low pressure seen by the models that may try to become more dominant. Now, what this may do is keep the warmer than average theme going, but also a chance of more thunderstorms and heavy rain moving up from Biscay, from Iberia, up into the southern half of the UK. And what that suggests to me is a very similar type of situation to what we've seen in May so far. Low pressure near Biscay, higher pressure to the north of the UK and over Scandinavia. And we've had this constant warm, moist flow coming in from the south, exerting its influence. So that is quite interesting to see. 2 meter temperature normally is no surprise. It's warmer than average really through the foreseeable future, in my opinion. Looking at the upper air pattern for the period between the 12th and the 19th of June, similar idea with low pressure to the west southwest of the UK, higher pressure further east. A south to southeasterly flow would be the dominant overall flow. Now you can see here that we've got wetter than average across the bulk of the UK and Ireland because of the presence of that low to the west southwest. So yeah, it looks as if it could be a relatively unsettled but somewhat warmer than average end to May and beginning of June seen by the CFSV2. But continuing to work on the summer forecast, that is well underway. There's going to be a lot more work going into that over the next few days before it's released officially, both on markvoganweather.com, so the written version of it, but also the video format will be on the live stream, obviously, this upcoming Sunday. A slightly different weekend coming up. So the Global Weather and Climate Report I hope to have as a video form on Saturday, and then we'll talk specifically about the forecast for summer in the live stream at 4 p.m. this Sunday. So slightly different. No weather talk this weekend. I hope to have that in the next week or two. So stay tuned for that. Check out Aidan's interview if you haven't already done so. And also there was Scott McIntosh and Gavin Partridge in episode 1 and 2 of Weather Talk as well. That is all available here on the channel. So plenty of reason to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching. It's been a long one today, but I hope you've enjoyed it as well. Stay tuned. See you tomorrow with more, hopefully. Bye for now.